Hello, hello, hello. This is Misty Magdalena Grace with the new and improved version of Healthy and Wealthy and Wise, where we talk about spirituality, psychedelics, plant medicine, microdosing, and really that journey within to finding your best innate wisdom, to your best health, your best wealth through all sorts of inner child healing, trauma release, grief recovery, overcoming addictions, and working with the mind, the body, and spirit. So go ahead, leave a review, subscribe, download. We look forward to your feedback. Thanks for tuning in today. Hello, 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 everybody. This is Misty Magdalena Grace. If this is your first time to my channel or podcast, whether you're live streaming or on the replay, welcome. I am a medicine woman and healer here in San Diego, California, and I've been quite candid about my journey with addiction, grief, suicide, and I met a beautiful soul over the past couple of years, and she has such a powerful story. I wanted to bring her on and have her share her story and have a really raw and yet beautiful. We like to have fun, right, Trish? We're going to have a little bit of fun today, because sometimes when you're talking about these heavy topics, it can get a little sad. But before I introduce her, I just want to acknowledge, if you are tuning in live, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, I live stream all of my shows because I believe in community. I believe your voice deserves to be seen and heard. So if you want to comment now and say #live, city, state, country, or if you happen to be on the replay, which I believe you can only do that. Well, I suppose you can actually do it on all 3 channels. You can comment below and say #replay, city, state, and also please hit the share button. Copy and paste, hit the share, whatever platform you're on, whatever works best for you, because this is a powerful story and a profound message today. So we're going to be talking a lot about recovery, and Trisha's story is amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce you, Trish. She's a CEO and founder of Healerverse. And if you haven't heard about it, you deserve to know. It's a unique platform that I am a member and a healer on. So it's like think of it like a Facebook for healing, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad example. But the whole idea is to help everyone be and become the best version of themselves. And Trish is also on my foundation board of my nonprofit, which maybe we'll get to later. And she's had a near-death experience. She's been to the other side. She's had a deep journey with addiction and has a huge heart for people that are hurting in that realm. And so that's something that we have in common. So Trish, I'm going to turn it over to you, let you take it away, and have you share your beautiful, amazing story to let everybody know a little bit more about you.
Thank you so much for having me today. And I love that intro, and I love the intro that you led into. And I love what you're doing, right? Because the world literally needs what you're doing on all realms: physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, everything. And we bonded like this. The second we met, we bonded like this. It was like so many similarities, so much overlap, and also so much healing, right? And what I love about you, and I have a very similar story, is that we're not scared to be vulnerable and honest and heal, and it's cancer season, so bring on the tears, right? I actually have a cold for the first time in years, if you want to call it that. It could be ascension symptoms is more likely, which is cool. I've actually been honoring myself and sitting with God and being like, let's hang out. I have this thing where I'm like, if I'm sick, I'm like, all right, God wants to hang out with me, clear the schedule. That comes first. So I've been relaxing, but this is something I really didn't want to miss today. So again, thank you for having me. And yeah, you can even see I'm tired today and I have a cold. In 2014, I actually died from a cocaine overdose. My heart rate was stopped / very low / I was 86 degrees Fahrenheit or 30 degrees Celsius when the paramedics found me. You're supposed to be 98.6 and I was 86 degrees. I was really dead. And, I went to the other side, like you said, through a tunnel. At the end of the tunnel, there was angels, and I came out of my body. and I saw my feet and they were blue. I did not know that that's where I was, right? I didn't know that's where I was. And I went up and celebrated, for a little bit with other people and other realms. Or I think we're in several different realms from that experience. Like, even though I physically feel like I'm here right now, I think that my soul is, or spirit is, in several places based on what I learned going there. But I struggled with drug and alcohol addiction for many years. Drugs and alcohol addiction. You could tell I'm sick because it's not firing as much. But anyways, or whatever you call this, right? But and well, like you said, we're gonna have fun today. And it was awful. It was awful. Like, like, don't hate on people. If somebody you love is struggling with drug and alcohol addiction, is brutal for us too. And I'm not trying to put on a pity party, but it sucks, honestly. Nobody in alcohol and drug addiction is honestly thriving. They're not enjoying themselves. It's brutal. And I'm not, we're sick, right? We're sick. We're really sick when we're there. And no matter what caused it, we're not in a good place, right? I was in a really bad place for a really long time. Sometimes I was able to cover it up with working or eating or not eating or go to the gym, or, like, I don't know, whatever it was, right? Flavor of the week, whatever I could do. But it was a really bad place to be. And it was permanent, it's progressive, and it's fatal. Like, it really is progressive. Like, so sometimes and then my brain is like, you can stop when you want to. But, like, I was proven so many times that I couldn't, but I would always believe, like, just one more, or like, just today, I'll stop tomorrow. One more is like a common thing that I would hear in my brain or outside my brain or whatever. And I listened to it over and over again. And then, girl, I remember sometimes I would sit on the couch and be like, the liquor store closes in 10 minutes. I'm not going. I'm not going. I'm not going. And then the car, I swear, would just drive itself to the liquor store, regularly. Like, and I'm like, no, like, but it's like this argument in your head, it's like, it's brutal. It's not a good place to be. So the last time I drank or drunk was November 16th, 2014. This November, like, hopefully, God willing, God's hanging out with me this week. I'll have 10 years sober. And that's honestly a huge blessing for somebody like me. And it honestly doesn't even make sense, but I healed a lot in the last 10 years, I even started to heal prior to that, actually. Like, do you feel like that? Like, you healed before the grand finale heal? When you were like, all right, I'm really going to heal now. Like, like, spirits were like poking at me before that. You know what I mean? And then they were like, you know what? This time we're just going to take you out because you're better than this and you need to go help people. So we're going to lay you out.
And I see that. I've had, my husband's had NDEs, my mentor had them, different people. Your story is so profound though, because, you learned from that experience. I'd like to know if there's anything else you want to share that you learned from dying and coming back, before we go on and talk a little bit more about the healing journey, that you went through and that we now are both very passionate about. Is there anything else that you want to share about your near-death experience?
So after that, when I woke up, I was still a psycho. Like, literally, like, my entire being was like, go get drunk. Like, but I didn't know that, because you don't just change because you died and came back. Also, like, I had 2 strokes. So when I woke up, like, I was wrecked. I mean, this eye didn't move back and forth. This side of my face was droopy. Like, I couldn't complete a sentence. I couldn't see. I didn't have peripheral vision in this eye for like years. And like, I had to learn how to walk again, talk again, think again, write again, feed myself again. I really, really, really wrecked myself. Check yourself before you wreck yourself, y'all. Like, literally, like, it was wild. And like, prior to that, like I said, I would get signs from spirits and angels and stuff that's personal to me. And I knew that. So I'd like prayed prior to that to whatever God exists, like, please help me. Because sometimes I was able to hold down jobs, but I was really good at getting jobs and really bad at keeping them. But I had like a really good job at that point, even, and I really wanted to like continue on my life. Like I had this idea since I was a kid that I would like be able to like help people and be successful and all this stuff, my own version of success, right? But
Mm.
like it just drinking and drugging always got in the way. And I had all these dreams, right? Oh, let's talk about dreams today too. Cause like what is better than that? And
Agreed.
I couldn't show up for any of that stuff. And I wanted to. I'm not a bad person, right? Like I'm not. But the things I was doing sure as hell were not good. And you know, like that invisible line, like you'll even compare yourself to others, right? Like, oh, well, that person's doing this and I'm only doing this, so I'm not as bad, right?
Comparison. Yeah.
Yeah, like all of a sudden, next thing you know, that little invisible line in the sand, I'm on the other side of that line. And then this person's worse, and then I'm there. It's like the ever evolving white line that doesn't exist.
Well, to think is to create, and what you resist persists. And the good news, though, is you came back and then you embarked upon a healing journey, and then which led to Healerverse. So, what would you like to share about your healing journey that led you to create this amazing healing platform?
So, thank you for asking that. I literally remained abstinent from drugs and alcohol this whole time. Like, that's just my story, right? And what's so cool, Magdalena and I have talked about this a lot, is that there's like different ways to go, and you need to go the way you feel called, you know? And I was basically in treatment. Well, I had to go to the psych ward because they were like, "Did you try to kill yourself?" And I'm like, "No, like, I didn't want to feel anything, but I wasn't trying to die, you know?" By the way, that wasn't my first time at the psych ward. I've been there like 3 times, and all because I drink and drug a lot, right? And
Mhm.
every time they're like, your blood alcohol levels, death, how are you here? But when I woke up from the 9-day coma, also, I was in a 9-day coma. I don't know if I mentioned that, but
No, you
anyways,
didn't.
yeah. And basically, they told my parents she's not going to make it. If she does, she's definitely going to be brain dead. But because all my organs died, they came back online. Like this, I'm not even here right now, let alone speaking to you. That's what the doctor said to me too. He's like, I have no idea you're here right now, let alone speaking to me. You have angels. They were like so like, what in the world? And they didn't think I was very funny because they were asking me all these questions and I didn't know the answer. Like what, well, I knew what year it was, I think. I had to think hard, you know? Anyways, so I went to the psych ward. No treatment centers would take me because I was a liability because I had 2 strokes, right? And so I was sitting in this psych ward. I should have been there for a couple of days. I was there for weeks, you know, and like, like Jesus, I kind of just got up out of the tomb and started walking. But I was like flying into walls because like I had strokes. Like I had to learn how to walk, but like my brain was so wrecked, right? And then like I also though knew like something saved me. And that's been a huge part of my journey of recovery has been finding my own version of spirits, God, like aliens, like what you know, what works for me. And like some things I don't even know are gonna come to me and they do, right? But the spiritual journey has been like the single most important thing that saved my life. And it ever evolves and grows. And then sometimes it goes back to what it was. And then sometimes I go this way and then that way. But I just keep looking or they keep finding me or whatever, right? Girl, I saw like sunsets for the first time after like I died and came back, you know? I never wanted to see that. I was pissed, you know, because I was so hurt. I went through so much trauma. So I had to heal all that trauma. And I started to get honest with myself when I was in that drug and alcohol treatment facility after the psych ward that finally let me in, you know, and they did physical therapy, occupational therapy. I was supposed to do speech therapy, but I was like, I'm not doing that. That's too much, you know, drug and alcohol therapy. And I got honest for the first time. Because I think that's the thing with alcoholism and addiction too. We lie to ourselves, others. We don't know the difference between what's true and what's false. We don't know. Genuinely. Because we lie for so long and then we build lies on top of lies that it becomes our reality, right? Reality is our perception. So we start to believe it because we're telling the same stories over and over again, or we're lied to, or whatever. And then we believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why they say, quote unquote, addiction runs in the family. I have a whole nother, belief system around that. To me, it's more generational trauma runs in the family. And I know for me that I had to get to those roots and still, still healing. Like I was telling you before I got on here, I cried half the day. So I'm surprised my eyes don't look too puffy, do they? But we're all in this ascension process together, which is why having community like Healerverse and being able to get referred to the right healers in the right time for you is so key, especially now because addiction is on the rise, suicide is on the rise, all different ages, and so if you want to maybe segue into any, maybe actually if you can give additional, like once you get out of rehab, just don't like, because I'm sure you could probably speak for hours on all of the healing modalities, but maybe name like the top two or three that really helped you with your trauma and really helped you rewrite the story. Because what I'm hearing you say is you had all these other stories pushed on you, and now you got honest with yourself
Yeah.
and you wanted to rewrite the story. So what happened next?
Aw, thank you. I know I could talk to you forever. That's why, also, right? It's beautiful. So I did do a 12-step program and I still continue to do a 12-step program. I love that. I have somewhere to go all the time. I love that. And like people to like see, because I am very much an introvert. And then honestly, like I started finding healers and having these profound experiences, like so much release, so much like coming in from this, right? And Reiki was a huge one, but like every healer is different, like you said. And it's hard to really say this modality because healers, when you're a healer, you do so many things. You know what I mean? You study so many things and it comes from different lineages, and some stuff probably comes from past lives and current timelines. Some things come naturally, like you feel called to something and then you're like, yeah. And then maybe you're like, no, this isn't for me. And then, but you'll integrate some of that here, right? Like, so theta healing was profound. Reiki was profound. Like I'm not really much of a meditator. Like I'd rather go walk the dog and look at the stars and have no noise and look up to the sky and I feel a connection. Or I get signs from the neighborhood when I'm outside walking the dog or when I'm on the beach, the ocean. Like that's my meditation. I don't really, sometimes I'll sit there and close my eyes, but it's more so for me about being present in the moment, like, and taking it all in. And that's helped me so much. But even when you look at people new to try to get like sober, clean, or whatever, and like healing, right? Even new to healing, it's very challenging to stay present, to quiet the noise. Yeah, because there's
Yeah.
so much.
I'm
Yeah.
with you because I know for me, and I've got 5 core fundamentals that I work with inside of my program to your point of helping people become present to feel or get better at feeling. Because I know I'd like to hear what you think about this and your experience. Like for me, I had many addictions. Alcohol was, it's just the most demonized, so it's the lowest hanging fruit that also, projects a lot of guilt and shame. And I had to work with that too, not just the alcohol itself, but the guilt and shame. And again, we can go there if we need to, but then also social media, like Facebook and all of those things. There's Facebook depression, all of these diagnoses that we didn't have. I have texting PTSD. I diagnosed myself. I don't text anymore because that was actually what led me to drink more because I was available. I was addicted to being available, codependency, people
Yeah.
pleasing, right? And so I first started for myself. I was a 7-day work week person. So first I started taking Sundays off so I could help my workaholism addiction. Then I would stop being on social media. I took all the apps off my phone so I wouldn't be like, you know, like
Yeah.
this with my phone, checking it every 5 seconds. I'd put my phone and computer away by like 6 o'clock
Yeah.
at night. Like for me, it was an evolutionary process. And I did meditation, breath work, nutrition, and better understanding food as medicine. Plant medicine, of course, I put in the same camp because to me it's food.
Yeah.
But that shadow work and Kundalini yoga really helped me. The chakras, kind of somewhat similar to what you talk about with Reiki, mantras, all of it. It wasn't just one thing. And I feel like sometimes we live in a society where instant gratification, quick fix, which kind of alcohol and drugs sort of was that soothing quick fix, right?
Yeah.
And so trying to get rid of that mentality and realizing that healing is a journey is something that I think with recovery, would you agree that it's a journey and you're always learning something new?
Yes, and I love everything you just said so much. Like breathwork's amazing, and it. I'm like, oh yeah, breathwork. I forgot how good breathwork is. Breathwork's so good. And yoga, like, yeah, I love it. So good, so good. Yeah, I'm thinking about what I do every day versus that, and it's a journey. It's a journey, and if you wind up picking up, don't beat yourself up. Like whatever the addiction was, right? Because it's not like easy. It's not, but it's not worth it. Like when you hit like a bottom, and you're just like, I'm done. And I had bottoms before this bottom. You know what I mean? So like if anyone's on here comparing themselves to me, I still had a white picket fence and a husband and two beautiful dogs and a nice backyard and a nice house. Like, you know what I mean? A few months before this, and I had a good job at this time. I was working in a really reputable hospital and like working with the board of directors and like the executives and stuff and like sitting in board meetings the day before I died of a cocaine overdose. Okay. So like you don't know where you're gonna wind up. But
Yeah.
obviously, like you said, it's a journey and everything happens for a reason. But to the point of like how bad it is right now, which you also mentioned, and it is bad. Like I don't really love the word bad. I'm working on working it out of my vocabulary, but we can say addiction is bad right now. Like, you know what I mean? Suicide is bad right now. And I understand where you're coming from or where people are coming from. I do. It's not good. It's not good. And for all the reasons you described, right? From so many different things. And like society wasn't set up for people like me. Like I don't like this is not like these boxed in ideas of how things are supposed to be is not for me. I'm not and I don't know, maybe it works for some people. I'm really good with structure, but not that structure. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Maybe if you can tell me more about what you're meaning by structure so our audience
Yeah.
can sounds like you felt like you were in a box, which was probably part, like there's so many parts and so many layers of why we choose the addiction path, but the box that you were in must have been suffocating you or holding you back.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in like a really affluent town where some kids drove Ferraris to the public high school, you know what I mean? And like it was kind of like you go to school and like school wasn't for me. I got D's and C's and F's. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, I have an MBA, by the way. I have a master's in business. Because I'm like, this one matters, you know? But like literally like some classes are not for me, you know what I mean? Like if they put me in sales when I was like 10, I'd be a billionaire right now. Why do I have to go to all those years of school? You know what I mean? I would have been like buying and selling whatever. Like when we had those this is so funny, when we had those like fundraisers for school, I
Yeah.
used to, yeah, I love those. Yeah.
Always first place, right? You always got
Yeah.
first place in the most sales.
I didn't want to stop knocking on doors selling candy bars. When it was over, I was like, I want to still sell candy bars. So I took everything out of my mom's like cabinet that I could find to go sell, and I would go knocking on doors selling it. Like that's not normal. It is normal. That's my normal. But like for like the box, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think
Yeah.
most people that I know that have been addicts or even diagnosed with things like ADHD or addiction, they tend to be super, super brilliant, super, super different. Their brains may even work differently, or I believe, this is my personal belief, is just their souls, like they're an alien from another planet. Like I know my galactic family, and like super, super gifted, right? And so when you come to this planet, and I know I might be like turning some people off right now, but this is just roll with me on this one. It's hard to, it's like they say, it's lonely at the top. You feel weird, you feel outcasted, and everything becomes so much more natural for you. And I think for me personally, I drank a lot more to kind of dumb myself down, and to maybe even bring out some of those guilt and shame wounds that I needed to heal. Addiction was one of the best things that ever happened for me, so that I could heal some of the things that I was also, probably, sweeping under the rug and not paying attention to. So I kind of jumped all over the place there for a moment and even went to the aliens path. But what are your thoughts about that?
So you remember, like, I don't know if you've ever seen that chart that describes this is how you feel with like a smiley face, a sad
Yeah.
face, angry
Hmm.
face. I never knew how I was feeling since I was a kid because I had so much trauma that like I was taught like don't show anybody what's going on outside, fight on the inside and show up with a smile on your face. I
Yeah.
did that. I
Right.
don't want to like say who I learned that from or whatever, but very like conservative family, like beautiful, like actually like all great people, right? But struggling too in some ways. And I didn't know how I was feeling. I never was taught to talk about how I felt. Like I was always shut down, you know what I mean? Just show with a smile. So like I didn't know, like that was the first time I said that I was able to express how I was feeling or even articulate it was after I stopped drinking and drugging because I didn't know. I really didn't know how to communicate either and have healthy conversations. I always thought that if I did that, then if I was honest, like, hey, this hurt me, that I would be shut down. You know, I didn't know that a healthy relationship could exist, and like still to this day, because I'm in a new relationship. I've known him since January, and he's like literally a great guy, right? I sometimes have to sit there for a second and be like, how do I say this? You know what I mean? And it's
Yes.
like you heal rapidly, but like the right person isn't going to leave you when you express your feelings and they will acknowledge it and sit there and have a conversation with you, which is like really cool. And also, what I knew existed, I knew that existed. I waited a long time to be able to be vulnerable in a relationship. But also in early recovery, that's sometimes the first thing people go for is the relationship for the band-aid on the bullet wound,
Oh,
right?
try to find transference, right? Like looking for something outside themselves still to be the answer or their savior or their quick
Yeah.
fix.
Yes, definitely. Like sex and whatever. But if you do that instantaneously and you haven't like worked on yourself already, you go back to what you were really looking for. It's actually humans are like almost like robots in a way. I hate to say it. There's patterns and you see certain patterns and they're redundant, right? And it's unless we change ourselves, we go back.
Well, studies have shown that 85 to 90% of our thoughts and patterns that we did yesterday, we repeat today. So it is about rewriting the story, rewriting the meaning making of whatever is coming up for you, and having the courage. I just want to say it's a very courageous path that you went on, and to be able to own your choices and have love and compassion for yourself, and to then be able to dredge up all of the feels that you were drinking and drugging over, and then to be able to learn how to nurture yourself is what I'm seeing in you. Because now, and I think this is a great time to segue to Healerverse,
Yeah.
and what is it and what is its purpose?
Yeah, so it's the first of its kind social media platform and marketplace for spiritual and holistic healing and wellness. On there, you can find healers and event tickets and workshops. And we do roundtables every Friday, Eastern Standard Time at 1 o'clock. We're in early stages still. Like a lot of my friends sat there with me through beta testing when the platform was like, being worked on still, but like now it's up and running. We have people on there from all over the world, from all different backgrounds and healing modalities. I wanted people to be able to find friends wherever they go and events wherever they go. Everything is fragmented and we're censored and banned on this and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and whatever. So I'm like, you could say whatever you want on here, just be nice to each other, you know? And that's been really freeing. And we've been getting such good feedback from people, especially over the last weeks, that we've been like hiring and stuff, like to bring on like the masses. And also like the next thing that we're going into is corporate wellness, because there's nothing like this. There's small companies like locally that will do corporate wellness, but like on a global level, like here, like this is like, you know, like what we can serve to the world, like to heal the world. Because you know, the information out there that's very loud is not always coming to us with the best intentions. But like spiritual and holistic healers, sometimes they're in their like communities and they're more low key or like centered, you know, or like underground, right? So we're like, here, like we support you, you know. I got upset over lockdown, the way things were going. And then also things are on like Eventbrite or like Luma or like there's so many different places to find healers and events and workshops and friends. So I'm like, bring it all to one place so people can buy and sell tickets on Healerverse, just like Eventbrite. And then if you look at anybody's profile, you can see all their events, all their, for the healers, you can see all their workshops, you know, and it's like, it's honestly amazing. And it's not me. It was divinely inspired. I really just felt like we're missing something. We're missing something. How do I find friends and healers? And I was having trouble finding healers too. And what's even out there? So we're like educating people what's out there, from like what Magdalena's doing to like other things. Like it's honestly amazing. And globally, because there's so many different things going on across the globe, right? What's happening in India today, you know? We have healers from India, Australia, like, and we're raising 5 million right now. We're about to launch on republic.com. We got approved by one of the most difficult crowdfunding platforms to raise equity, so we're decentralizing Healerverse. I'm not going to be the only shareholder anymore. And I didn't want to be. I just didn't know where to go. And I wanted to make sure the vision was carried out so it protects the community too, right? So everyone is going to be welcome to invest in Healerverse in the next few weeks, and it's going to be owned by whoever's good people and feeling alignment. Come on, let's go.
Beautiful. And I'm on Healerverse, just to let everyone know. So I am a supporter as a healer slash member, and wanted to get the word out about this because of, you know, the like minds that we have here about helping you remember who you truly are. You know, you're not an addict, or you're not a bad person, or you're not a bad kid, or, you know, whatever story you have running inside of your unconscious mind. You know, you can truly live your best life, remember who you truly are, wake up in this ascension process, whatever you want to call it, age of Aquarius, new earth, doesn't matter. It's all the same here, is just really finding your truth and living out loud and shining your light. So I love that you created this, that there's so many options for people. And you're right, a lot of us healers are, I joke, last year I came out of the spiritual broom closet, because I was also still, you know, there can be imposter syndrome. A lot of healers struggle with referrals, or there can be scarcity. A lot of them tend to work too much, and like, so coming together in community and helping each other balance all of it out. And plus, a lot of times clients, they might need more than one healer, and where to go but a database of like-minded people. So I'm super grateful. Where can people find out more about you and Healerverse?
Yeah, so come join. The website is 5dhealerverse.com. And there's a bug on my screen. I'm like, what is that? Like there was just like a thing. I'm like, what is that? You know? My Instagram is Trish Kane Healerverse. My LinkedIn is Trish Kane, MBA. You got to represent. I was in resource room when I was a kid because I didn't fit in the box. You know what I mean? So I'm like, let me put that MBA on there. And like send me a message. Come join Healerverse. That's the best place to message me if you want to get a response. Also, my email is Trish Kane at 5D Healerverse.com. Thanks,
Beautiful. And
guys.
I'll have all of that inside of the platform, or sorry, the show notes, so everybody can, if you are listening to this on audio later and you didn't get a chance to write that down, just revert back to the show notes. Is there
Right.
anything else on your heart? I have a couple more questions, but is there anything else that you really want our audience to hear today, whether it's about Healerverse, recovery, the
Yeah.
ascension process?
If you feel like you're struggling with drugs and alcohol, or you're in and out of getting sober and then going back out or whatever, just know that you're not alone. And also fight for it. Fight for it. You're worth it. You're amazing. I just also want to say I know over 220 people that have died since I got sober, because I live in South Florida and it's the epicenter of treatment centers. And um, you don't think it's going to be you. I didn't think it was going to be me. When I woke up from that coma, I was like, no way. And people even said, I'm surprised it was you and not me. You just don't know who it's going to be. So literally, just see what you can do to get real with yourself, get honest, look to people like Magdalena and I. We're here for you and we love you and you're beautiful. And yeah, and that's it. Thank you.
I love it. Well, I have a little bit more to share
I'm
before.
having a great time with you.
I wanted to talk about my foundation and why I chose you. So I'm all about, in this political age, and I don't talk about politics or religion on here specifically, but I'm just using it as a reference point. Like someone will say, my religion's wrong, or yours is wrong, mine is right, or this political party is better than that one. So what I love about is the together everyone achieves more model. And so the 12-step recovery program worked great for you. And I love that you have that background and Reiki and the different things. And so I asked Trish to be on my board because, I didn't go the AA path. I went the plant medicine path, right? There are many paths to healing. There are many options. And I think instead of any one of us saying yours is wrong, mine is right, which is total BS. I'm just going to call it what it is there's so many paths to healing and recovery, and you got to find the right one for you. And so whether it's inside of Healerverse or even in my network that I'm creating within the Lotus Throne Foundation, and having people like you, is we can all keep each other honest. We can all keep our minds and hearts open to, this may not work for this person, so I can refer them to Trish or to whomever is within your community. I think that's the biggest thing, is a lot of our ancestors were shunned and converted harshly to other religions or other belief systems. And then at least that was my root cause of addiction in my lineage way back thousands of years ago, is when you shut down your truth and you don't listen to your intuition or to your higher power or source or whatever you call it, then you become a sheeple. And I think that's really the root cause of addiction for most people. To your point, being put in a box and, thinking you have to be a certain way. You don't have to heal a certain way either. So I just wanted to put that out there because I think it's really important for us all to love one another and come together and be able to be humble, say, hey, plant medicine doesn't work for this person, here you go, or whatever the example might be. So I don't know if you have any thoughts about that.
I'm so happy you said that, and I couldn't agree more. So obviously being immersed in underground spiritual communities for years, you know what I mean? That prior to launching Healerverse, I would talk to people on Telegram from all over the world for years, right? And I still do talk to them sometimes. But sometimes plant medicine is pretty big there, and they would be like, you need to do this, you need to do this. And that's not really cool either, right? Because I've asked my spirits, and I am fully supportive of it, by the way, but I've asked and I'm not supposed to. So I don't know at this moment, right? Or whatever. And I feel also pressuring somebody that's not supposed to do that into it is also not cool. But guess what? I fully support it. You know what I mean? I think one of the things I've learned in recovery too is that I don't know what's best for anybody. I barely even know what's best for me sometimes. Shit, truly. But I fully am supportive of all of it. I'm here for it. And what I love about you is the way that you do things with, you know what I mean? Like preparation and integration. And like I think I'm in past lives, whatever, I was a shaman because like I fully am picking up what you're putting down with everything that happens with plant medicine. And I am fully supportive, especially with what you're doing, how you do it, and how you handle people with care. Going to Costa Rica on a 3-day retreat sounds like a good time, right? To go do whatever, but then what is the point then? It's mostly like similar to the maybe the drinking and the drugging, unless you know what I mean? I don't know, but who the hell am I to judge, right? So go to Magdalena if you're looking for like advice with that, and that's what I suggest. Yeah.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, and thank you
Yeah,
for
that's
for
true.
for being another like mind who's had bringing your vast knowledge and different experience. Because again, I feel
Yeah,
like we got to have more of these open conversations to learn from one another and not judge, and
totally.
to be able to work together for the greater good. So,
Yeah.
thank you,
I
thank you.
love what you're doing. I love so much. Like now I'm like going on a tangent, but like I fully support. Like, in fact, like some people, like, especially like, even though I don't know what's best for people, like people that cannot literally just stop, like, go get help because, like I said, 220 people more than that I know are dead. And like, it doesn't have to be like that anymore. So, yeah.
I'm looking forward to having you again over the many, many years that you're here with us. Thank you for living and for shining your light. And
Yeah.
before we close, I'm going to share a word from our sponsor, and then I have just a couple more closing questions for you, Trish. So don't go away.
Healthy and Wealthy and Wise is proudly sponsored by the Soul Vine, your number one go-to source for ayahuasca microdosing. This ayahuasca is legal. It is the Cappy vine. There is no DMT extract or molecule as a part of it, and it can and will transform your life from the inside out. Supporting the Shipibo tribe from South America, this is my go-to source for healing. Learn more at microdosingforhealth.com.
You have the best voice.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Voice.
Thank you. I helped that I went to college for broadcast journalism and all that kind of stuff. Just a little fun fact for you, random trivia.
You're a
So
star.
I have a question for you that I always close the show with, and it's basically the name of my podcast, Healthy and Wealthy and Wise, was like a download. It was channeled to me, and this was 4 years ago when I was still deeply, deeply lost in my addiction and behaviors. But it meant something to me very deeply, and so I always ask my first time guests, when you hear the phrase "healthy and wealthy and wise," what does it mean for you?
I feel like it means to keep going. Like it means to keep growing. Healthy, wealthy, and wise. Yeah, like how that resonates with me in my heart space right now. It means to keep growing. Otherwise, like you stay stagnant. And like that does create health and wealth and wisdom. To like keep going. Don't give up. Like really, like that, because like think about it too. Like any type of like we learn if we're like tapping into our bodies, we find out what's healthy in our beings, right? And that's also a journey. And wealthy, like what about the wealth of knowledge that we get from keeping going, like, and learning? And that's the same thing as wise. It goes together. Like those all go together for me, and I love you guys.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate your energy and your spirit, even on a day when you weren't feeling so great. So, again, if you or someone you know is struggling with recovery or addiction, talk to either one of us. If you are a healer or someone who's looking to be almost like matchmaking with other healers, check out Healerverse. And again, all of her contact information is in the show notes. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank you for tuning in. Again, sharing is caring. So if you saw value in this today, please hit the share button. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, here's to your best health, your best wealth, by trusting and finding your best wisdom for you. Bye bye for now.
Bye.